Hi, and welcome to Take Two, if a brand new episode of Sipping Tea with Suzanne. Have to call it Take Two because the last time we were here, we had to reschedule with the fabulous Miss Rosa Rivera. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me back.
Well, thank you for coming back. Like, it was just such a perfect storm of things, right?
It
We
really
got
was.
here, we're ready, and then all the things happened, but we did a little teaser and got a lot of comments on the teasers. So we were like so excited to be back today and just to have a great show.
Yes, I'm excited to be back. Thank you.
Yes, anytime. Well, for those of you tuning in for the first time, I am your fabulous host, Positively Suzanne. And for those that are returning, thank you. I appreciate all you lovely viewers and subscribers. Now, remember, if you are also interested in watching it on YouTube, if you can't get to watch the entire live show tonight, it is always available on YouTube on the Positive Vibe Studio. Got to shout out our wonderful executive producer, Paul Anderson, for making the magic happen week after week. So, I am always very excited when I get an opportunity to speak to just phenomenal individuals in the community and really talk about their journey and just some of the things that they do and, share some of their magic with you, the audience. And actually, so you and I have met a few different times, and I know that you mentioned we had met at a conference, and then like this week, my picture was coming up with us at She's Local conference, and we were in a picture together. And
Oh,
yes, I
that's
have to send that to
yes,
you. I have to send
yes.
that to you. But
That's right. That was last year, right?
yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So, Worcester is so big but so small, right?
Mhm. Really
And
is.
we go to these different events and we see phenomenal individuals. And I'm always into like, hey, girl, hey, queen, calling women beautiful and all that. And I think we've just interacted like so
Yes.
many different times and many different
We
occasions.
really have.
And
Yes.
but when we have the opportunity to sit down and really talk, like the last time we chatted for 2 hours.
I know.
Well,
Without doing the show.
like without doing the show. So y'all missed out on a heck of a show, okay? But
It was our personal
it
show.
was, it was like we felt so good afterward, but I'm
Yes.
so glad that it is working today and that we're here. I'm also excited because last year during the She's Local, oh no, this is this year. It's this year.
Sure.
I Got You Sis Summit.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I've already knocked that
I'm
off.
telling you, it's this
The,
year's flying
it
by. That's what it
is.
is.
It is. So you applied to be a speaker. You were a speaker at I Got You Sis. And, you share your story. And it was just so incredible. And I'm like, I have to have you on the show. I
Mhm.
really have to
Thank
talk to
you.
you and just really talk about your journey and just inspire others. Because, what I really loved about the fact that after you shared that, you maintained your smile, you maintain your positive attitude,
Thank you.
and you said it wasn't always that way, because we all have moments, and
Hmm. We do.
but let's talk a little bit about Rosa when Rosa was young and growing up and who she wanted to be. So let's dive right in. Do you watch like White Lotus?
I don't. I
Oh my
don't.
goodness. Well, we have to talk about that after because, like, okay. But there
I
was an
don't.
episode with like Jennifer Coolidge, and he was like, "Tell me about yourself." And she started to talk about like when she was a little girl with her parents. He's like, "Oh, we're going way, way back." So,
So we're gonna go back
like,
today.
let's go
Yes,
back
let's go
to
back.
little Rosa
Little Rosa.
and growing up. Wait, did you grow up in Worcester?
I grew up in Fitchburg,
Oh,
Massachusetts. Yeah,
okay.
so
I
I
know.
did grow up in Fitchburg. Yep,
Okay.
so close by, not
Close
far. I had
by, yeah.
family in Worcester.
Yes.
Fun fact that not a lot of people know is I learned English when I went to school. My parents
Oh,
are,
really?
yep, they moved here um, years before I was born. They moved here from Puerto Rico. Well, they moved
Mm.
to New York, and then they
Yeah.
moved from the Bronx to Fitchburg. I was
Mm.
like, how'd you end up
Okay.
from Puerto Rico to the Bronx to
To
Fitchburg? But
Fitchburg. Yeah,
they did.
like okay.
And they always said, you will learn English when you go to school, and we want to make sure that you know Spanish and that you stay with Spanish and
That's
that
important.
stays in your
Yeah.
culture and that you know how to speak it well. So they didn't they didn't teach me English.
Wow.
I learned in school, and I have two
Wow.
siblings that are 6 and 9 years older than me, so they knew English, but I
Mm.
didn't. And so I kind of like have vivid memories of those times where I didn't know what they were saying. I
Well,
didn't understand them.
you know how amazing that is, though, because a lot of times it's the opposite, right? Like
Yeah.
the child grew up in a Spanish speaking home, but they don't speak Spanish.
Hmm.
So I kudos to your parents. Like, you're learning Spanish.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I struggled. They had to send me to a speech therapist.
Hmm.
And I was on a show with Jury Love, and I actually said to her, I drive by that house all the time, and I remember going there for speech therapy. And I struggled to learn English. I had a hard time speaking in class out loud. I would get nervous, and I think that led to me having an anxiety of speaking in public, which is a kind of fabulous to say now because I
Yes.
actually do speak
You
now
do
in
speak
public.
in public.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But I had a big fear of that for a long time,
Mm.
and then I went through a little rebellious stage where I didn't want to speak Spanish, and my parents were like, "You're gonna forget your Spanish if you
Okay.
don't speak Spanish," and they would get mad at me. They would
Yeah.
talk to me in Spanish, and I would speak back in English, and they were just like, "No, you
No.
need to speak Spanish." So,
Oh.
but they kept at it. They never, you
Mhm.
know. When I went through that phase, I was probably 10, like 10 to 12.
Yeah.
That age where kids can rebel and whatnot. And I mastered English, and I was like, I don't want to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But they kept at it. They spoke to me in Spanish, and my grandmothers only spoke Spanish. So it was, I kept the language because my family didn't let me forget it, even though I was a little brat and didn't want to speak it when I was that age. And then I'm grateful now because
Yes.
I have a lot of friends that either don't speak that well of English or they just prefer to speak Spanish. And I found when I went to college really is when I started using Spanish in my day to day with friends and then obviously in the workforce, it's a plus to
Okay.
speak the language.
It is. Listen, I think English is one of the hardest languages to learn. So I always give credit to folks who, come from a different country and then they learn English because you have multiple words meaning one thing, the spelling doesn't match and all of that. It's still crazy. And a lot of folks who English is their only language don't speak English that well. So I always say to folks, like, if you have another language like Spanish or Portuguese or French and then you learn English, like kudos to you.
Yes.
Because that is incredible.
And I say that to clients that I had, a previous job that I had. I worked with a lot of clients that English was not their first language, or they didn't even speak English, right? So I would speak to them in Spanish, and they were trying to learn English. And yes, words that is the same like pronunciation,
Yeah.
but they're spelled differently and they mean different things. And
Yes.
teaching this to
Yes.
them, and they're just looking at me like I have 5 heads, and I'm like, I get it. I once was learning English just like you, and
Yes.
it was weird,
Yes.
like these words that all are the same. And
Oh, absolutely. I read this, like, can you read? I read this book, like.
yes, read and read, it's the same.
Like,
it's the
yes.
same. It's
and
the same.
it's diabolical. It could be in the same paragraph, right? Like, I like to read. Last night, I read an entire book.
Yes, yes, yes. It's so funny. I love that you came up with a word because I'm trying to think in my head, like, what words was it that I was trying to teach them? Like, this means this, but it also means this.
Yes.
And you can use it like this. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? But they found that helpful,
They
and some people would
could.
be like, that's too much to teach them. I'm like, no, it's not.
No.
Because they found it helpful, and I would write it down, and I would write sentences and explain it to them, and they loved it. They loved trying to figure it out. They thought it was hard, and they thought it was also
was.
strange, but
Yeah.
it was.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. So I know that you are an intensive care case manager, but when we talked about you when you were younger, what did you think you were going to be doing?
I thought that I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Until
okay.
I
Still in
realized,
that field.
well, yeah, but I realized that I don't like blood and I don't like needles. So I was like, well,
Ah.
I'm not sure if that's the right field for me.
No. I mean, I think they do frown on that as doctors, like.
You kind of have to deal with that stuff, right?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So yeah. So then I actually went to college I wanted to be a probation officer for juveniles. So I studied like juvenile delinquency, juveniles in the Supreme Court. I wanted to work with youth and be a probation officer for youth. So I am back in the social work field, and I'm working with youth, and I love it. I'm a therapeutic mentor, and like you said, I was an intensive foster care case manager, and I'm going to be doing youth permanency specialist. So it's like intensive care coordination, like ICC work, like really targeting their goals in life, but it's also working with kids in foster care
So what is it
system.
about kids? Like, why is that the field that you're so passionate about? Because I look at all you do in that field and how you advocate for kids. Like, what is it about that drives you?
With kids, like you can help make a difference. You can help mentor them. You can help guide them. And,
Mm-hmm.
people used to always ask me when I was younger, right? Like younger
Mm-hmm.
Rosa in high school, right? That's
Yeah.
thinking about what she wants to study in college. And they're like, well, why youth probation? I'm like, well, like adults, they've kind of been doing that a lot. And with the youth, you have more of a chance of steering them in a different direction and
Mm.
getting them to change course.
Yeah.
With an adult that's been doing something for so long,
Yeah.
it's harder. Not to say that adults can't change, because they can, right? I mean, I've changed. My journey has changed me a
Mm.
lot.
Absolutely.
But with youth, like there's a sense of molding and mentoring that's just,
Mm.
I'm passionate about that, and helping kids, and
Mm-hmm.
let them know that you can be anything you set your mind to.
Absolutely.
And just what you're going through now doesn't have to be your forever.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think that is a perfect segue. As I mentioned, you were a speaker at the I Got You Sis Summit, and you shared some of your story. And I was so inspired and brought so many individuals in the audience, to tears. And a lot of folks reached out and says that was just incredible, and that you
Mm-hmm.
maintained your smile after that. So you touched a lot of people. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about your story and talk about your journey, because I think one of the things sometimes, when we share our story, we don't realize how it impacts others
Mm-hmm.
and how it changes others' lives. So, you're doing that in your professional world, helping the youth and advocating for the youth. But in real life, you are an inspiration to others. So, let's
Thank
just
you.
talk a little bit about your journey and the story that you shared at I Got You, Sis.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. I think one thing that I have heard a lot is you are always so positive and you're always
Mm-hmm.
smiling, and that's like, to me, that's what got me through the cancer journey, right? And so we'll talk a little bit about my whole story, but I'm a cancer survivor, and that positivity is what got me through it, because
Yeah.
positive mindset, positive
Mm.
outcomes, right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
stay positive, and that's one thing that I try to say to others. Like
Mm-hmm.
I whenever someone's diagnosed, I sign up to like be like a mentor for other cancer survivors,
Mm-hmm.
like through the Dana-Farber, or even through the Healing Garden that I'm
Mm-hmm.
part of, or even friends. When they find
Mm-hmm.
out that they've been diagnosed, they'll reach out to me, and that's like the one thing that I always say is that positivity is
Mm-hmm.
strength. That's going to give you
Mm-hmm.
your strength. But talk about my story in, I want to say it was the fall of 2016. I remember going to the doctors to inquire about having an IUD put in.
Mm.
Simple, right?
Yeah,
Because
like
I
hello.
don't want to do birth control. I want to just talk about, let's have an IUD put in, like,
Mm-hmm.
because birth control wreaked havoc in my system.
Mm-hmm.
So I suffered from ovarian cyst and uterine fibroids in the past, and so I was like, nope. I controlled everything by going off of that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so let's find something else that can help control the system, because a lot of doctors, they'll immediately put you on birth control pills to
Mm-hmm.
regulate all those things for women, and that's not the only option.
No.
So let's talk about something else. And they were like, okay, well, we have to send you for testing, because you have a history of ovarian cyst and you have a history of fibroids in your uterus, and we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to do that without doing tests. And I said, okay, fine. I have nothing. Let's go. So I go
Yeah.
for the test. And they're like, yeah, so we can't do an IUD. And I was like, why? I was like, well, can we talk about something else? Because you're not putting me on birth control to control the pains and everything that I deal with. We're not doing with that anymore. And they were like, you have a really big fibroids that are like big. And I'm like, oh yeah, I had baby ones back in 2010. So now we're in 2016. And I was like, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
had surgery. And they said that they could grow over time. They were like, no, like they've grown. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. Off I go to a specialist, and she was like, oh, you need surgery like right away. And she says to me, you can have an ablation, you can have a myomectomy, or you can have a hysterectomy. And I started crying, and because this was now 2017, January of 2017. And I had always joked with her and said, just take the whole factory out. I don't want it, right? Because all
Yeah.
the pain, everything I had dealt with
Yeah.
since 2003, I think, is when I started dealing
Wow.
with that. Um, and so I looked at the doctor and I said, can you promise me that if I choose myomectomy, that you're going to remove everything that you find in there, and that we're not going to be back here again? you know, because here we are 7 years later and you're telling me I need surgery again.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't promise that to you. And so I remember going to Jamaica with my sister. I had said that in my speech. And I really thought about it. And I had chosen myomectomy because I was still young and I always wanted kids. But then I really like meditated on that, and I started seeing other families and kids, and just really it hit me, and something in me was like, I can't keep doing this to myself. We need this pain to stop. We need like this surgeries to stop. I had already had surgeries for ovarian cysts. I had had the surgery for another myomectomy in 2010. Like I was done. Yeah. I didn't want all of that. So I came back from my Jamaica trip the night before my surgery, literally like just in time for surgery.
Wow.
And I went in and the nurses were like, all right, what surgery are you having today? I said, hysterectomy. And they were like, wait. And I said, yeah, no, hysterectomy. And they had to cross off myomectomy. They wrote it in and I had to initial it. And the doctor came in and she was like, serious? That's what you want? I said, yeah, that's what I want. She said, okay. The next morning when she woke me up, she told me that fibroid was like this big, and it was coming out of my uterus, entangled around my cervix and my fallopian tube, and it was just taking over everything. And she was like, you didn't have a choice. She goes, so I am really happy that you chose a hysterectomy before I put you under, because to wake someone up and have to tell them that I had to take everything, she's like, I'm just so glad that you chose that. And that, to me, I was like, I knew I had made the right choice, you know, and all that meditation and everything I did on that trip, like I knew I made the right choice. And then 6 months later, while I'm still healing emotionally and mentally from having a hysterectomy, I found a lump in my right breast, and it turned out to be cancer. And it was a scary point because I had had a mammogram, and that mammogram came back normal. And they were like, yep, okay, we'll see you in 3 months. It's normal. We'll just keep watching it and monitor it. Now, I had been going to that doctor since 2011 for cysts in my breast. They call me cystic breast. And I was like, okay, so I have cysts in my ovaries. I have cysts in my breast. I'm just a cystic person. That's cool. So he was like, I'll see you in 3 months. And then a week later, the hospital called me. And they said, you have to come back for extra testing. And I said, what do you mean? And I just started crying because I just knew something was wrong. And they're like, your tests are inconclusive. We need you to come back and have a 3D mammogram and an ultrasound. And I was like, okay. So I went, I had the 3D mammogram, the ultrasound. The tech comes in, which is something that never happens. They're, right, the radiologist. Like the tech did what she did, and then the radiologist came in. And she did the ultrasound. And she was like, you found a lump in your right breast. I said, yeah. And she's like, it looks very suspicious, and we need to send you for a biopsy. And that right there was like, okay, something's not right, right? Like something is not right. So I went for that biopsy, and I didn't need to wait for those results because they couldn't, it was so painful. Like when they went in with the lidocaine, they were like, this tissue's tough. We can't get the lidocaine in. They're like, sorry, but this is gonna be painful. And I'm like, great, cool, thanks. They're like, you're one tough cookie. I'm like, it was so painful because they couldn't get it in. And I said, something that's benign is not tough.
Yeah.
So I knew, I knew right then, but I didn't say anything because, right, you don't want to worry your family until you know. They gotta wait for those results. So that was a Monday, October 30th of 2017. I'll never forget it. And that Friday, I went for my first day off from work. I went out to Boston Harbor, did a little fall luncheon cruise around the harbor. There was no fall foliage. It was like all greenery. I was like, what is happening? It's fall. It was 70-something degrees in November. It was November 3rd, 70-something degrees. And I get off that cruise ship, and the doctor calls me and tells me, you have lobular breast cancer. And I was like, what? And now a lot of people say, why did he call you and tell you over the phone? Oh, he wanted to see me first thing Monday morning. And I had had an appointment to follow up with him the following Thursday. He was like, I'm not waiting until Thursday. He said, I am sorry that I'm calling you, but it was 4:30 on Friday afternoon when he got those results. And he's like, I want you here first thing Monday morning. And I was in his office that Monday morning. By the following Monday, I was in surgery to remove the tumor. Like, he acted fast. And that was just the beginning of what I call a roller coaster ride, which a coworker actually said to me. She was like, your life is about to feel like a roller coaster, and it is going to move fast.
Yeah.
And truer words have never been spoken to me, because
Yeah.
that everything just happened so quickly after that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was scary. And for a long time, I couldn't say the words, I have cancer.
Mm.
I went to work that next day because I had to work I had Friday off because I had to work Saturday.
Yeah.
I worked in banking at that time, and they would give you a day off if you worked Saturday. And my coworker was so excited. She's like, "Oh my gosh, how was your day off? You finally didn't have any doctor's appointments, and how was that?" Because, like I had said, I had had the hysterectomy, so this was the first
Yeah.
non-medical
Day.
day off.
Yeah.
And I wrote the words on the computer, and I said, "I have lobular breast cancer." And I just started crying, and she just looked at me and was like, "What?" And that was just, after that, my sister and I drove to my mom's that day, and I felt like a teenager that was going to tell her mother that she was pregnant. Like, I was so nervous.
Yeah.
I didn't know how we were going to tell my mom.
Yeah.
And I didn't. My sister spoke for me.
Mm.
She was my voice. She was the one
Yeah.
who spoke for me. She told my mom, she told our mom, our dad, she told our brother. Anyone that was really close to us, she was the one who told them.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't speak those words.
So I've met your sister, and she's incredible also. And I know that you and her had a great relationship, but through your cancer diagnosis and recovery and treatment, you guys became even closer.
Yeah.
And your relationship is truly remarkable.
Thank you.
She was there for you.
She was, and I lived with her at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived with her at the time, so she was, call her my number one caregiver, because she was there, morning, noon, night, in the middle of the night. Like, she was the one who was there when I would break down crying because I was just so frustrated. Because my tumor was up high, so the incision was up high, and then they cut under your armpit to take out lymph nodes. I had 5 lymph nodes removed as well, and so that was just painful. I couldn't do my own hair. I couldn't do anything. I could barely dress myself. I couldn't lift my arm up. So there was just times where I would just cry and just be like, I don't want to do this anymore. But what I did forget to mention was the hysterectomy, and I had mentioned this in my story, was the hysterectomy put me in a dark place. And prior to having the hysterectomy, I was actually really depressed and praying to God that he would take me on the operating table and that I wouldn't survive. And then when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was like, oh, I see you. I see you. Yes, I want to live. And I always say cancer saved my life. And that's kind of like how that's what I say. That's my motto. That's what I go by. And that's how I feel, because it truly made me appreciate life. It made me want to live life to the fullest. And in my first year of diagnosis, like I did all the things. I went on a hot air balloon ride. I went and did that Godzilla ride in the Boston Harbor, that fast chase boat ride thing that I always wanted to do. I did that. I did like all the things that I always wanted to do. I was like, we're doing these things, right? Like no more saying, I wish I could do this. We're doing the thing.
Did you jump off a plane?
I did not, but I did that's still on my bucket list. But my sister bought me the skydiving simulating thing that I did that in New Hampshire, and that was cool. I still want to jump out of a plane. But I did that.
Oh, good. No, I'm not doing any of them. So, but that's incredible. But you're like, okay, what else? Because we realize sometimes fear is a state of mind. I'm still not doing it. But you're like, I've had this, and now I have this, and I'm just gonna not allow fear to hold me back from doing these things. Yeah. And you did it.
Fear, and also time. We don't know how much time we have on this earth, right? And so why leave for tomorrow what you can do today?
Absolutely.
Why say that you want to do this someday? Well, someday can be today.
Absolutely.
Do it today. Live life,
Every single day.
Every single day. I had a therapist at the time who made me do a scrapbook of all the good things that happened in that first year of my survivorship. And every now and then I'll pull out that scrapbook, and it is just so amazing to see all the good things that I did happened. And all the fun things that I did. And even though there was so much bad, there was so much good that came out of it. And that's a fun book to have.
No, absolutely. And one of the things that you talked about in your story when you shared was just the different relationships and friendships and sisterhood that you found, during your cancer diagnosis. And just how important it is, to be surrounded by women who are cheering for you and rooting
Mhm.
for you, and
Yeah.
you know, just making you laugh, probably some swearing.
Yes, yes, yes. Like
There's always
it's
one.
there's always one.
Yes.
Yes, and it cancer is a club you don't want to be part of, but
Mm-hmm.
there is like a sisterhood in
Mm.
other breast cancer survivors and even just other cancer survivors. Like I'm part of a group called the Breast Friends Connection, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm also part of the Virginia Thurston Healing Garden in Harvard. I don't know if you've heard of that place. They're amazing. They do so much for cancer patients, but not
Mm.
just cancer patients, your family. They
Yeah.
have like caregiver support groups. They have bereavement support groups. They
Mm-hmm.
have caregiver and survivor support groups. They have
Mm-hmm.
survivor support groups. They have in treatment, post treatment. Like I mean, you name it. They
They
even
have
have
it.
like
Okay.
young under 50 support group. They have
Mm.
so many
Mm.
support groups. And then they also do like expressive arts therapy and
Mm.
like body work,
Mm.
massages, shiatsu, like you name it, you can have it done. And I formed a group of friends from this healing garden that one of the girls calls us friends by circumstance but for friends forever or something like that, and I
Mm.
love that. I love how
Yeah.
she said that. And we would go to dinner once a month before COVID happened. We would go to dinner once a month and it was just fabulous. And when you look at us, you're like, how do these women all know each other, right? Because you could
Mm.
tell like age
Mm.
difference and just
Mm.
just differences where
Mm.
like, all right, they didn't go to school together.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like they don't all like the same things. That's
Mm-hmm.
you could tell. Like, how are you friends? And one time a waitress asked that question, and one of the girls was like, "Oh, we all have cancer, or we had cancer," and the waitress was just like, she didn't know what to say. She
Yeah.
was
I mean, what
like,
do you say,
"What do
right?
you say to that?" And I was like, "Stop causing trouble. What are you
But
doing?"
it's your story.
But it's our story. It's
Like
how
it's
we
your
knew each other.
story. Like that's how you
Mhm.
met each other. But I love that though. Well, not the cancer part, but the fact that here you are going through the same thing in regards to cancer, right? Different places on the body, but it doesn't matter race, religion, social economic status, or
Yeah.
anything. These are just women
Mm-hmm.
surviving and, taking comfort from the
Mm-hmm.
others around them. And when you're going through that, you realize how much you have in common
Yeah.
versus what you don't have in common,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it removes all the other little things. Well, I don't like blondes, or I don't like short girls, or I don't like
Yeah.
none of that
Yeah.
matters. And I
Mm-hmm.
wish we would recognize that without the cancer diagnosis, people.
Yeah.
But like honestly, none of
Yeah.
that matters.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing to have, and we're still connected. One of them moved to the Cape, and I just went to the Cape recently with my sister and my nephews, and I met up with her, and we went to
Oh.
dinner, and the boys loved her, and I don't talk to her all the time, but we
Mm-hmm.
we had such a fabulous dinner, and we chatted, and
Mm.
she reached out to me recently to ask me about something that I had mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
night, and was like, following up,
Mm-hmm.
how's it going? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're just connected, and I feel like we are always going to be connected.
Mm.
And it's great. It's great to have that sisterhood. It's great to have
Mm-hmm.
that strength, right? Because I always say they gave me strength when I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have it, but also they gave me tips and tricks. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it comes with there's a lot of pain, there's a
Mm.
lot of side effects, and
Mm.
just all the
Mm-hmm.
arnica. I got introduced
Yes.
to arnica, like the lotion and the pill, and it's like
Mm.
it's
Okay.
all natural. And
Mm.
instead of taking ibuprofen or Tylenol all the time, like I take all natural
Mm.
medications, and I do all natural things. And
Mm.
I would I have found that on my own? Maybe. Would I have found it as quickly as I needed it? Probably not. They
Yeah.
introduced me to so many different things. Like
Mm-hmm.
the other one, the Deep Blue by like some other, I forget the doTERRA, I think, like
Mm-hmm.
doTERRA, like essential oils. Like they just gave me so many tips to help me get through that
Mm-hmm.
tough time and help me get through the
Mm-hmm.
physical pain of
Yeah.
everything that I was going through.
Okay.
And,
Well, mm.
it's great.
No, it is. So, like your story's a little unique, because, as you said, you were going through all these challenges. And, the thing is, women go through this all the time, right? With these issues with cysts and all these things, and painful periods, and still not enough research on that. But you
Mm-hmm.
were going through that. You said you were in a dark time, and then the cancer diagnosis, while shocking and devastating, it's like it forced you to realize that you really do enjoy life and you
Mm-hmm.
want to live.
Yeah.
But, I have a friend who was recently diagnosed with breast cancer, and, it's a shock to the system. And I think she's certainly still reeling from the news. what advice or comfort or just words of encouragement that you would offer her?
Yeah, it's a lot. I always, when I have someone that comes out to me and tells me, that they were, or confides in me that they were recently diagnosed, I always say, like, you have to remain positive. And that's my biggest advice is it's going to knock you down. It's going to change you. You are going to go through all the stages, right? There's the grief, there's the anger, there's all of that, because you're grieving the old you. I still grieve the old me all the time. Like there is sometimes I try to do something and I'm like, the old Rosa could have done that. Like the other day I picked up my nephew's baby sister and I'm like in pain because she's a little chunky one. She's adorable, but she's heavy. And I'm like, the old Rosa would have been, I was strong, right? The weakest link, I can't even open up like a water bottle sometimes. I have to have someone help me. But my biggest word of advice is be patient, be kind to yourself, and be positive. But just that being kind to yourself, because your body's going to go through something major, and is going to shift and is going to change you. And if you're not kind to yourself, you're going to get frustrated with what you can no longer do. And it's the holding on to the positivity of, okay, this sucks, but I'm here. And I'm alive. And I know that that's not always easy, but also reach out to someone who's willing to talk to you, because I wish that I knew about a lot of resources that I know about now that I tell people. Like the American Cancer Society has a phone number that you can call any hour of the night and talk to someone. There's always someone there to talk to you. When I was up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning not being able to sleep, I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that there was a support system that I could call at all hours of the night. It's just use those resources, find the resources that are available to you, because shutting down and not talking to someone is not going to help, and you have to let it go and feel all the feelings. I had a cancer survivor tell me once, well, I can't cry because I have to be strong. I'm like, no, don't ever let anyone tell you can't cry. Cry, feel those feelings. If you don't feel those feelings, you're holding that in, and that's not good for your body. Right? It's like stress isn't good for our body.
Absolutely.
So holding in those feelings, that's not good for us.
Especially with something like that. Like, let it out. Like, you have permission. You have, and at any time, but especially that you got permission to just bawl.
Cry it out, scream it out, bawl, do something.
That's
one of the things that I spoke at a women's leadership luncheon, and we were talking about the topic was the struggle is real, and we talked about how do you cope with something, and I was like, scream therapy. I was like, it's gonna sound wild, but I love scream therapy. And my dad used to do it all the time and embarrass me. Like he moved me in my freshman year in college, moves me into the dorm, and we're in the parking lot in the back. And he just let out a loud scream. And I was like, seriously, Dad? We're doing this here? And everyone's looking at us. And I'm like, this is my dorm. I'm first day here. Cool, thanks.
Sure,
we went to a restaurant afterwards, and he did the same thing in the restaurant. And I was like, this man is going to embarrass me. But now, like, I get the scream therapy. It works.
You get it. I love that.
Sometimes you need to scream it out, but
just let it out.
So get in your car, scream into a pillow. I don't know, just scream it out. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy. I scream at home all the time.
I think they know by now. They probably won't, because they would have called the cops a long time ago, right?
I'm like, I scream all the time. I just let it out, and then I'm like, okay, we're good.
You're good. If it helps you, why not?
Why not? Especially when I was a mortgage loan officer and I would have like a complex call or something. You don't want the next call or the next person you deal with to have to deal with the fact that you were frustrated. Let it out. Scream it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, thank you for sharing the advice. And, I know that, cancer sucks. And so many folks get the diagnosis and things like that. So no, thank you truly for sharing your story, for sharing your journey, for really talking about just the sisterhoods, your relationship with your sister, and all the things that you gained from it. And that's one of the things that was so inspiring about your story, is like you lost a lot. You lost the old Rosa, but you gained so many great things, right?
I did. And one of the greatest things that I gained was confidence and feeling like empowered and feeling like I want to help others and I want to, you talk about, not a lot of people talk about like the ovarian cysts or painful menstrual periods or any of that. They don't talk about that, and even menopause. Like I'm
Yeah.
finding that now people are talking more about
A
like
little more.
perimenopause and
Yes. Yeah,
stuff, and
they have to.
you have to talk about it. I mean, I went through it at a young age because of my surgeries. So when I had the hysterectomy, they left my ovaries, but because my cancer was highly estrogen driven, they wanted to shut down my ovaries. And so they wanted me to have this shot every 3 months and to suppress my ovaries. And I was like, just take them out.
Yeah.
It is all I have left. Like, just take them.
Yeah.
Because that's better than for 10 years having a shot every 3 months.
Every 3 months.
Like, that's insanity. Just take them. And so that obviously put me into menopause. But the medication that I was on was going to put me through menopause regardless. And I remember the doctor saying to me, well, you need to do one shot. And I said, why? And she's like, because I need to make sure that you can handle the symptoms. I said, the symptoms of what? She's like, of menopause. I said, I'm a woman. I'm going to eventually go through menopause. She's like, but you're only 38. I said, so? We can do that. I cannot avoid menopause. I am a woman. It's not like I can't just hide from that. It's going to come at me one day or another. Let's just do it now.
Okay.
And she was like, okay, fine. She's like, just do one shot. I'm like, fine, we'll do one shot. I said, but like, what's the other option? Because the other option is not to not do anything, because my cancer is high risk for coming back bilaterally. So I wanted everything that they wanted me to do, all the treatment, all the medication. I was doing it. I did not fight any of that because I want less chance of this coming back, right? I do not want to risk it coming back. So she was just like, all right, fine. And now, I'm at the age where a lot of my friends are going through the perimenopause, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember being crazy. I got that. I was like, right, but I can have compassion for them when they're acting a little crazy, because I'm like, I remember that. I remember when I felt crazy in my own skin. I literally felt like a crazy person when I was going through it, and no one understood me. My sister hadn't gone through it yet. None of my friends had gone through it. And that was hard. And the only ones who understood me was my cancer friends, my friends from the cancer center.
Your breast friends.
My breast friends.
Your breast friends.
Breast friends connection and the Healing Garden girls.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I truly appreciate it. I think it's so important, your story. And, for those that are watching, as she mentioned, the American Cancer Society has a 24-hour dedicated line. I think oftentimes when we go through tough situation, I know that I'm certainly guilty of it. I tend to internalize, and I tend to want to solve it and just give in to myself and just be by myself till I fix it. But then, I'm able to say, all right, like, you need people, you need love, you need support. And I think sometimes when we get those challenges diagnosis, like we just, I don't want to be a bother. It's just, let me just power through this. And it's like,
I was that person. Like, I have to move a refrigerator. I'm gonna do it myself. Let me just do it. I didn't know how to ask for help. And the hysterectomy and then cancer, it forced me to have to ask for help. And I remember one time just putting on Facebook that I wanted tortilla chips, because I had this urge to have tortilla chips. I don't know why. Very random. And a girl that went to high school with me was like, I live nearby, I can drop off tortilla chips. And she did. And ever since then, her and her best friends, we all went to high school together, but we get together. There's 3 of them, and they have been best friends since kindergarten. And I love their relationship. Like, their relationship is so beautiful to have this, be in our late 40s and have had a friendship since kindergarten. Like, it is a beautiful thing to witness.
That is incredible.
Yes. And I've gone to dinner with them. Occasionally we've gone shopping and we hang out, and I am in touch with them. They're also part of the American Cancer Society Relay for Life of Greater Gardner. They have their own team. My family has a team, and I'm very involved with that. And I see them at the Relay for Life. And so it's just, it's so beautiful. And it's like, I went to high school with them, and I was friendly with them in high school. I'm not gonna say we weren't like the close of friends, but we were friendly. But what I went through, and me just putting that I wanted tortilla chips, and she was like, I'm gonna bring them to you. And that led to, we should hang out sometime, we should go to dinner, to like, it's been
Yeah.
9 years, and we still go
We'll
to dinner
still, oh, I
sometimes.
love
You know, we
that.
still hang out
We
and
love
every
that.
or we text each other, happy birthday,
Yeah.
happy this, you know, oh, I miss you guys. We should get together. And like life is busy and there's four of us, so that's kind of hard. But
Absolutely.
you know, I just love that. And it's brought me to realize asking for help is okay. It's not
Yeah.
a weakness.
It's not. We have to
Community is
learn it.
everything.
We've learned it, and again, we can do it for others, but again, like you said, when it came to you asking for help,
Hmm.
so I'm glad that you got over that hurdle, and
Yeah.
encourage you, anyone that's going through something like that, any support that you can. It's
Reach
not
out
a
to your
weakness.
community.
Just reach out, like pull
Hmm.
your community in, and you never know. And you know, when you're going through something challenging, sometimes you find community that was there, like you just don't
Hmm.
realize, because again, life is busy.
Hmm.
We're doing all the things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, there's things like right on the little outskirts we're not recognizing, and like you said, like the friend went to high school together, lived near you, and all
Hmm.
of that, and
Yeah.
tortilla chips.
Yeah, tortilla chips. That's all it took. I asked for tortilla chips on Facebook, and I
Yes.
got 3 friends.
Yes.
Like, I'm not gonna say new friends, but kind of, yeah, new
Yeah,
friends, right? That I was
absolutely.
hanging out with, and it's
Absolutely.
great. And
Yeah.
we
Okay.
go to a place in Mason, New Hampshire, together every now and then called Pickety Place, which I actually go to every month. So,
Okay. What
um,
is this place?
Pickety Place is amazing. It is
Okay.
a farm to table restaurant.
Okay.
You get every menu. Every month is a different menu, but it's the same menu for the whole month.
Really?
So you have a vegetarian option, and then they'll have like a pork or chicken
Okay.
option. But you get a dip with crackers, and then you get a salad and a soup and bread and the main course, and then dessert. And then they
Really?
have like all these delicious drinks like lemonades and all these iced teas and spiced tea and mochas and
You
whatever.
have to tell me. Like we have
Yes.
to legit give me the info.
We should go.
Like
I
yes.
go every month.
Like yes.
I go every month, so you just tell me
Sold.
what month you want to
Sold.
join my sister and I,
Sold.
and we will put you
So
in with us. I'm literally like, I have a reservation for every single month. You have to make a reservation.
Okay,
the
that's fine. So when I was younger, and this will tell my age, when I just came to America, there was this place called Wright's Chicken Farm.
Mhm.
Do you remember?
Yes, I actually do.
Like yeah, does it even still exist?
I don't think so.
Okay, I mean,
There's a
I
lot of things
personally
from
didn't
back then
like
that do
it.
not.
I know, right? I mean, there was Ames, right? Like in Webster Square.
So you're talking about like these old school. One of our friends, we have this group of friends,
Yeah.
a text thread, and he was like, "What are the old stores from the 80s and 90s that we're missing?" And none of us questioned him. We just started naming them all, like Filene's Basement and like all these things. And we're like, "What?" No one questioned why
Like-
Nick is asking what stores we are missing. We just thought it was like Baker's Shoe Store, a 579. Like we
my
just started naming them all.
goodness. Yeah, listen, because you know what? Like when you're a certain age, you're allowed to just randomly ask,
Yes.
"Hey, do you remember cassette players?"
Yes.
Like,
So and Pickety Place is also, so it's based off of the illustration of Little Red Riding Hood.
oh, okay.
So it's very cute. It's a quaint little
Okay,
place.
okay.
It's very cute.
Sign me up.
Especially now that the summer's coming, it's the best time to go there.
Okay, good.
They
Do
have like
AC,
all the.
or are we eating outside on a farm?
No, they have AC. We eat inside. I eat in what they call the wolf room. They used to have it set up with grandma's bed with the wolf in the
Okay.
bed.
Oh,
I
my
actually have a photo
God.
I can show you later. It's
Yes.
very cute.
Okay.
But it's just they have like all their gardens, and so literally it's
Yeah.
like farm to table. Like they have all the
Okay.
gardens. They have a drying shed where you can go in and see all their herbs drying,
Good.
and then they sell them. They sell their fresh herbs in the
Perfect.
gift store. So
All
yeah.
right. I just discovered eucalyptus. Like,
Oh.
yes, I did a thing, a tea party, and it was one of the things they were doing was flower making, and it was eucalyptus, right? And it smelled so good.
Mhm.
And one of the ladies there, she was like, put a vase of eucalyptus in your bathroom. Like after you shower in the steam.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
now I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy eucalyptus for myself every week because
I love it. I love it. Oh gosh, and now I want that in my shower.
exactly.
I was like, hold on, now
And
I want
it's
that.
so affordable because I got the pack, like with the 2 packs, so like Trader Joe was like $4.99. But yeah, I have so
I
many
love
things.
Trader Joe's.
Like yeah, so legit, I'm decided I'm like every week I'm gonna go there, pick it up like $5, $10, whatever, depending on which vase, and put in the shower. And then like every time, because you shower every day, at least I'm hoping you are. And
Yes, you should shower every
you
day.
should shower every day. But every time you shower, the steam and then the smell, and it lasts
Yeah.
a week. And it's just, you treat yourself for
Ooh.
$5 a week.
And then
better
your bathroom becomes a spa.
Exactly, better than
That's
roses.
amazing.
Like, so that's my new thing. Like
Okay.
eucalyptus in the bathroom, grabbing a vase, grabbing it at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, I'll ask for my endorsement after. But you gotta sponsor us now, Trader Joe, because like we're promoted, and now
I don't
she's
know,
gonna
Piggity
be
Place.
like a Piggity Place, right? Yes, absolutely. So now you are gonna become going to Trader Joe's for eucalyptus. I'm gonna be going up there to eat.
Yes,
Like, listen,
yes.
we've
Yes,
got this.
I got this.
We got this.
We got this. You got this. I got
Exactly.
this.
We got this. We gotta do it. No, but again, no, thank you so much for sharing that. And I really wanted to make sure that, you certainly got an opportunity to speak to the audience. And I know that I'm gonna get feedback. Folks just gonna be like just truly inspired by your thing. And one of the things I've learned, even when you don't get feedback from others, still continue to tell your story, right? Still continue to show up and be positive, because sometimes you're inspiring others and you're touching them and you're changing lives and you don't know it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to know it.
Yeah.
Just continue to show up in the world and do good.
Thank you.
That's
yes,
it.
yes.
Show up and do good.
And there's been so much change, I just roll with it all the time. I mean, I changed my career. Cancer.
Yes.
Not only, I mean, I changed my career because I was like, it makes you really reevaluate your life.
Absolutely.
And what are you doing? That
Yes.
accidental career that I
So,
call
and
banking.
perfect segue, because that's what I was going to ask you about, because the last time when we did the teaser, we talked about a 20-year accidental career. And I'm like, girl, that's a career, not an accident. But
But it wasn't supposed to happen.
it wasn't supposed to happen, but for 20 years.
For 20 years.
It did happen.
Listen, like banking's a lucrative job.
It
It
is.
really
It
is.
is a
And
lucrative job.
I stayed. And
Sundays off, federal
Yeah.
holidays off,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Things like that. So you were in it for 20 years. So how did this accident happen?
So I was I think at the time I was working as a domestic violence counselor, and I had gone to the bank to apply for an auto loan, and they were just talking to me about the positions there, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that like part-time, right? Like, I don't know why I didn't need a part-time job, like why?
Yeah.
And the lady just started talking to me and then started telling me about the company and the benefits, and I was like, huh. And and then the pay, and I was like, oh. And then I had applied to be a child support enforcement specialist with the Department of Revenue. And so I graduated from college in 2001 when 9/11 happened. So there was a lot of changes. There's a lot of hiring freezes and whatnot. So now fast forward, this was, I think, 2003 or 2004. And I was one of 2 of 60 candidates that they wanted to offer the job to. So they were offering to 2 people, and I was one of those 2 people from 60 candidates that they had interviewed. But then they put a hiring freeze.
Yeah.
And the state wasn't hiring, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, no one was hiring. And so when the lady had talked to me about the job at the bank, it was more money than what I was making at the time. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll do this temporarily until I go work for the Department of Revenue.
Yes.
Like, that's why it was an accident, because it was like, it was just supposed to give me a little bit more money for that time being.
Extra.
I had student loans to pay. Like, I needed a job that paid a little bit more at the time. I loved what I was doing. I loved the agency I worked for. I just needed a little bit more money, and I needed to wait until the hiring freeze lifted.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I talked to HR with the Department of Revenue for 3 years. I followed that, and I was like, after 3 years, I was like, I have to give up,
Like,
because
you're done.
this hiring freeze is not going anywhere. I was like, so I stayed in the banking world, and then I started shifting and changing, lanes. I was in the call center, then I was a loan officer, and then I changed credit unions, and then I became a mortgage loan officer, and I just really liked what I was doing, and I just stayed. And then 20 years later,
You're like,
and
okay.
20 years later, after going through cancer, I was like, Rosa, what are you doing with your life? Like, this is not what you wanted for yourself. And so, and at that point, they had really pushed me out of my comfort zone to be in the community, to network, to be out there, which is scary, right? I didn't like that. I didn't like being out in uncomfortable spaces. but I got comfortable in those spaces.
Good.
And I realized that I deserve a seat at the table and I can be here. And I just went for it. I was like, I'm going to change careers. I was actually at the North Central Chamber of Commerce. I was doing their Community Leadership Institute class at the time. And you learn so much when you go through a leadership course. It's kind of like the one that they have in Worcester.
Yeah, Leadership Worcester.
Yeah. So I just learned so much, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, not that the credit union I worked for was amazing.
Yeah.
Everything was great, but it was like, what do I want, you know, for my life, and where do I want to be? And so I made a career change and went back to social work.
Wow. There's nothing wrong with wanting different.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can find fulfilling career and then do something else that's just as fulfilling.
Yeah.
And you were always passionate about, even as a child, you know, about youth advocacy and, you know, helping those that are suffering injustice. So, yeah.
It was great. I loved it. And I'm happy. I wouldn't change that choice for the world. I struggled at first. The first year was not easy. And I was like, what did I do? Why did I leave? Like, I worked for a great credit union. Like, what did I do to myself? You know, because I made not the right choice of where I went. And then I found my place and I went somewhere else. And I ended up getting my LSWA from that job because they asked us, you had to be licensed. And so now I'm a licensed social worker associate. And now I want more, right? And so now I'm going to work and move up, and I'm staying in the same field, and I'm excited, and I'm just happy. I'm happy doing the work that I'm doing.
Is it challenging working in that field, just with, you know, everything that's happening in the world right now? And, you know, we hear so many stories about the sad aspect of social work and, you know, kids that are missed and all that. And is it challenging working in that field?
It is. It is very challenging. And I worked with, in my previous job, I worked with a lot of unaccompanied refugee minors. And that was, you know, in the world we're living in right now.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. And it's hard, right? And the fear that they had. And not only them, like myself, right? Because a lot of them don't speak English. And so I want to take them out into the community and do things. But then the fear is real. To be out in the community and speak in Spanish. Like, I am a U.S. citizen. I was born and raised here, but I find myself having with me a copy of my passport, a copy of my license, a copy of my birth certificate. Why, in this day and age, do I feel like I have to have all these important documents readily available to show? That's fearful, and that's hard. And I think for me, that was the hardest part of working in this field, is working with that population and having them feel safe in the community, wanting them to want to go out into the community when I myself was fearful, right, of taking them out into the community. But I still did it because I didn't want them to see that fear in me. Yeah. I needed them to feel comfortable because they're here to better themselves. And I want them to feel comfortable, and I want them to feel empowered and not be afraid of going out. Did we have to be careful? Did I have to teach them about certain things? Absolutely. Yeah. But that, to me, was the hardest. That's the hardest part of working with that population.
Yeah, it's challenging, and you're right. It is a genuine fear. You can't dismiss it. Like, there is a genuine fear of, because you know that folks are being targeted for certain things, but still wanting them to have a life, right? Not to just live their entire life holed up in one spot and fearful, but still be cautious, right?
Yeah. It's hard. And then the other piece to it is, you know, intensive foster care, that comes with a lot of kids that have a lot of trauma. I'm also a therapeutic mentor for youth, and a lot of them have suicidal ideation or have attempted suicide. You know, there's a lot of emotional trauma, a lot of physical trauma, some of them have gone through abuse. So just navigating those waters and, you know, helping them and meeting them where they're at, right? And knowing that every client and every child that you work with, what worked for one is not going to work for the other. So having to shift. And what worked last week for one person is not going to work this week because they're in a different mindset this week, right? Absolutely. So last week they were doing great. This week they're not. We need to shift what I thought I was going to do. Like, even the girl I mentor, the therapeutic mentoring job, one week I'll have something planned and she's just not in the right mindset, and I kind of have to shift. And sometimes I have to push her too,
Yeah.
like the other day she's like, can we just stay home? Can we just do the session at my house? I'm like, no,
Yeah.
because your goal is to be in the community, and I wouldn't be working on your goals if I didn't make you go into the community. So let's go. We're going to the library. We're going to go to a gallery. We're going to go out in the community. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's tough because she's like pouting and didn't want to do it. And right, you build that rapport with the clients, and you want them to want to work with you. And when you're like literally saying no to them, I'm like, but it's okay. We're going to make the best of it. And then by the end of the session, she's like, I'm really glad you forced me to do that. I'm like,
good.
Yes, this is what it's about.
Good. Wonderful. So let me ask you this. I know you mentioned therapy earlier. What are you doing for your mental health? Because this is very heavy work, and you have dealt with some other challenges. So how are you taking care of your mental health, like navigating all these spaces, helping others taking care of their mental health?
Different avenues. So I am big on self-care. I love self-care. So C will tell you, I'm always in her getting some kind of work. Hello, C.
Hey, C.
Always getting some kind of work from C.
Good.
I also just was introduced to Thai yoga massage. If you have never tried it,
I have not.
I need to connect you with my girl Crystal.
Okay.
I'm actually have a session with her next week, and that is amazing. It's just great. But and then I go to the spas. Like I'll treat myself to like Release Wellbeing Center, their Bliss Pass, where they have the eucalyptus steam room and the Himalayan salt room and a hot tub. Do that, or I go to the ocean and hot tubs, ocean. I'm just always all about self-care in some way, or going to like leadership luncheons, like women leadership conferences and luncheons, and being around other people who empower others. I love doing that. Right now, technically not doing therapy because I have a full-time and a part-time job, and it was really hard to schedule with my therapist. And I was like, you are stressing me out trying to schedule with you, and I love her, but I needed to take a break. And I'm like, I know all the things I need to do to keep myself grounded, and I do those things. And yes, a good therapist needs a therapist, and I know that. So eventually, right, we need to get back into therapy. But for now, if it's stressing me out, we're not doing that, because that's part of self-care, is not stressing yourself out about
but you're
scheduling.
Practicing self-care.
Yeah.
You're practicing self-care.
And that's exactly what she said. She was like, I appreciate that you're just taking care of you, because scheduling is becoming stressful.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much, A, for coming on and for sharing your story, and honestly keeping us smiling, a positive attitude. And we've mentioned so many individuals here today. C, we're going to shout you out. She's lovely. One day I'll tell you the story of how I met C. And we just don't have time. And I think our producer is going to like wrap it up, like wrap it up and get out of here. But I know that you have had a couple of vacations. So I always try to end the show or ask somewhere during the show about vacation. So I think we talked about it when we did the little teaser. You mentioned Jamaica, my country, and favorite country that you visited and favorite country that you want to visit.
So favorite country that I've visited is Greece.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Yes.
And I want to visit, so I'll stick to one, Italy, which I'm doing next year.
Okay.
And I get to go, it's a cruise that leaves from Rome and it goes back to the Greek Isles. So I get to do Greece again, plus visited Italy.
Beautiful.
Yes. And I'm going to go a week before to do Italy, before I go on the cruise.
Yes. Love it, love it, love it. Can't love it anymore. Cannot love it anymore. Like, yes, and yes. I'm done Italy. Greece is on my list. Like, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. My challenge is I can't do like the 7 days. So I got to do it longer, because it's like, like there's 1 day of travel, and then the first day you get there, like, you're dead to the world. Like that jet lag.
I did 12 nights.
I did 12
nights.
Perfect.
12 nights. Perfect. And it was great. I loved it. Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right. Final question. Are you a reader?
I am.
What book are you reading right now?
Oh gosh, what is the name? I Can Scream Later. I forget the name of the lady. She was on that show, The Fosters, I think. She was one of the moms.
Oh, really?
Oh gosh, I can't think of her name.
Okay.
My sister's gonna laugh, because it's her book, and I took a break from reading, but it's about her story.
Is it the blonde girl?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm literally blanking her name too.
She lost.
And she was really popular.
Marley, is it Marley something? Oh gosh.
I don't know. She was really
She
popular
lost
too.
her hearing when she was younger.
Mm.
She was like
Marley
six.
Matlin? Is it Marley Matlin? No, because no, no.
I'm
Okay,
terrible.
we're gonna move on.
I'll scream later.
I'll scream later. That's the book. All right. I'll scream later. Well, listen, thank you so much. We talked about screaming a lot. So I'm hoping if you gain nothing from this show, you learn that scream therapy works.
It does.
It does. And I
Thank you,
like,
Dad.
yes. I mean, I scream on a regular basis, so I'm going to have to just go louder.
Yes, you just
That's
gotta
it.
let it out.
Just let it
belt
out.
one
Like, just let it out. I do love a good scream, right? And if I'm next to the water, even better. But listen, I am so grateful for my audience, subscribers and viewers for tuning in each week. I appreciate you. Shout out to our executive producer, Paul Anderson. And truly, the show is amazing because of incredible individuals like my guest, Ms. Rosa Rivera. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime, for being so gracious the second time around and coming back and, sharing your story and inspiring others. And thank you for the word of advice that you gave for me, for my friend. I will certainly share that with her and make sure she knows that she's not alone. So thank you so much.
Yes, and if she ever wants to reach out, I am just a phone call away.
I shall. I'll let her know that.
I'll
let her know that. Thank you all so much. And until next time, this is Positively Suzanne and
Rosa Rivera.
Ooh, she rolled the R's.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.